Albrey, we're live on Women Investor Wednesday. Welcome.
Great day, great day.
And you have a beautiful beachy scene behind you. It looks a little rainy. You're up
rain, just ocean.
Beautiful ocean. What a nice view. That's up in Vero Beach. You're only a couple hours from me.
Yes, I'm currently right now in Vero Beach.
Yeah. So before we get started and hear all about your great story, which I can't wait because you're so young, why we're doing this. Why are we on this podcast? And during COVID, I had learned that of all of the investors in commercial real estate, only 3% were women. And half of that were women who signed on their husband's guarantees or inherited. And so that meant I was part of 1.5%, which I thought was ludicrous because I had worked with so many women every day in the commercial real estate industry. And I'm thinking, why are these women not investing in commercial real estate? So I started asking questions, and my friends and people I know said, yeah, no, we invest in the stock market. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, you don't like put your commission in a deal and they go, we never thought to ask that. And I said, and they said, we don't have $1 million. I said, you don't need $1 million. And well, I kept asking and asking, and finally I kept saying, we don't know any other people doing it. And it, if you can see it, you can be it. And the only person that they knew that did it was me. And I said, okay, that's a problem I can solve. I'm going to go meet every woman that does this and put them on some kind of platform. And we did a virtual summit where we had 100 women, and I interviewed 8 women like you. And it was a huge success. And since then, we've done 4 live conferences, and our next one's this March. But because I cap the attendance at those, because the intimacy of that at 250 women are starting to invest with each other in the room, which is fabulous. I realized I'm not going to reach as many women as I want. I want to try to get that 3% to 10 or 30. Last year, the conference theme was think bigger. And I said, forget 10, we're going to go to 30. So I thought, let's do a podcast every week, and I'll get to interview 50 women every year. So I think we're at around 110 with you, somewhere around there. So welcome. And I can't wait for you to share your story with the audience.
Thank you for having me.
So Coral Gables. So what was your first investment? Tell me about your first investment, how you found it, why you did it, how much, how did you get the money, all of that.
Very unique story. I actually was going into my sophomore year of college, and I was taking a leadership class. While we first walked into the class, probably second day of class at the time, our professor always dressed up in a suit. Another professor walked in T-shirts and ripped jeans. I'll never forget it. White T-shirt, light blue ripped jeans. Left knee particularly was ripped. He came in and asked our professor for a marker. He gave him a blue marker. He walked out, and as soon as the door slammed, all you could hear was, everybody listen up. He said, I don't know if you guys just saw what just happened. I did, because I pay attention to the details. He said, that's somebody's professor. He said, the average income of your parents in this classroom is over $300,000. That's an accredited investor. And I'm like, what is he talking about? However, it intrigued me and I wanted to know more. He said, I'm going to change up the way we network. You guys are going to actually start networking with each other because someone in this room can change your life.
Love him. Who was that?
Professor David Spivey. I've never ever seen his name before, but yeah, he was a professor at the time. And he literally broke up our classroom into groups, and then he connected all of us based on certain questions he asked and things of that nature. And I actually happened to miss class because of my obligations while I was in college at the time. And I came back and I was partnered with a particular individual. This particular night, we were going to the library to work on our leadership project. They get a phone call. And when they got a phone call, you can hear their parent, it was one of their parents. They were saying, hey, are you coming to dinner? It was like, oh, I'm at the library with Albrey. It was like, bring her with you. So me, home cooked meal, sign me up. I'm in college, sign me up. So ultimately, I let everyone that I knew send a text, say, hey, track me. because I'm going to dinner off campus. They had just came out with some new technology as far as tracking on the phones and different stuff like that, track me. So I was like, okay. I said, if I don't respond, call 911. They already knew. So I get in the car, we're driving. My stomach's like, oh yes, a home cooked meal. We pull up to the gate at the time at a pretty very wealthy community that's very well known in the Miami area. And I'm like, okay. Looked at him. I'm like, all right, where are we going? Once again, I'm still thinking about food. We drive through the gate, private entrance, sitting at the table, just not to disclose their personal business, but sitting at the table, they're talking about commercial real estate the entire time. And I'm like, this is what dinner's like? Nobody's chewing. Everybody's just talking about real estate. Here I am thinking of food. They're thinking of wealth, the wealth of food.
Wow.
Like literally sitting there and serving each other a plate of wealth.
Wow.
Right. And maybe a sip here, sip there for dry mouth, but talking. And then the father gets to a point where he talks about a property that they own, a large hotel, and then a large particular multifamily property. And he says, a couple from Staten Island, I remember like it was yesterday, a couple from Staten Island purchased this space, but they don't want the parking that goes with it. He said, I don't know what we're going to do with it. Any ideas? Everybody's kind of quiet. I said, I have an idea. He said, oh, yeah, what? What's that, Aubrey? I just went off on a limb. I said, well, you can rent it out to college students. Well, you can do. I just went on a number of ideas, things. And he just looked at me and he said, wow. He said, I pay over 6 figures to marketing teams. None of them came up with half of these ideas.
Amazing.
I said, well, I have a better idea. He said, what's that? I said, I'll buy it. And he looked at me, he said, really? I said, yeah, I'll buy it. He said, for how much? I said, $2,500. I said it, shoulders square, eyes piercing.
Did you have the 2,500?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And here's this. The 2,500, make a long story short, they agreed on it. They said, come back the next day and I'll bring my team here and we're going to talk it through because you're of age. However, I got the necessary individuals that be in place and they literally set up certain structures and stuff like that for me while I was going, my sophomore year in college. And the $2,500, literally the week before that, because I opened up 3 bank accounts. The first one was for my spends account. So funds would come in and I had my spends account, my investment account. And then I had my primary checking account, right? And then I had, of course, they love giving college students credit cards. So I did not realize, because I never had touched the credit card, I didn't realize when I was doing a bank transfer because I was getting money every month from the university. So I was moving the money over to offset because I always said I want to operate as if I have rent, even though I do not have rent to pay. So therefore, that's money I would invest. And my running slogan is, I love food and food loves me back. That's why I work out so much. Therefore, I was calculating how much money I was spending on food, and that would be my future investment dollars. That's what would go into my investment account, my food money. All right, so I gave myself $30 a day, 30 times 30, 900, 900 times 12, that's $11,000. So I'm breaking all the numbers down. I go and do a balance transfer and I miss and hit the credit card button. Not realizing, oh my goodness, what did I just do? So I make a phone call to the credit card company. This was Bank of America at the time. And I literally called them. The lady walks me through everything that took place. She said, no, you're fine. It's just a cash advance. I said, okay, how does that work? Here I am learning, inadvertently doing something that's going to lead to future wealth. And I said, okay, how does this work? She said, no, it just goes straight into your checking account. I said, how much can I move? As much as you have access. She's like, well, you have about almost $20,000+. Keep in mind, I'm only 18, turning 19. So, okay. This is the week before this dinner. So I've already read in my mind, I know where I'm getting the money from. Wow. So if someone tells you credit cards are not good, they're not great, I'm here to tell you, I built a lot of wealth from credit cards. Not spending them on things that didn't cash flow, I have the ability to cash flow. So the next day when I went back, I brought the $2,500 in cash with me. I brought a check with me as well. And because I did not know how, we didn't discuss the details of the transfer. We sat down, wrote everything out, etc. And he was like, what are you going to do with it once you get it? He signed everything over. I paid the $2,500. So I now had a parking spot. I went to the bank manager of Bank of America and I asked them, because they had meters at the time over by the water near South Beach. They had meters by the water. And I knew if I did simple math, I said, there's no way. I said, so if I just charge them maybe $500, $600, maybe $800, $1,000 something, it's still less than what they're paying for the meter. So I just did simple math. And then she said, we all need parking. I said, well, if you had a place to park your vehicle and just pay a monthly fee, would you love that? Absolutely. Once again, this Bank of America manager literally says, I'll take that. You have something? I said, absolutely. Are you available? Yeah, I get off at 5. I said, well, I'll be here at 4:50 to walk into. We went over. I showed it to him. We signed the contract. I literally had all the contracts in place, etc., because I went to researching and different stuff like that. I'm that person. What I don't know, I'm going to find somebody that does. Show me a genius that knows all the answers. I'll show you one that absolutely will find it. Not knows how to find it, will find it. Because I'm going to keep asking questions. And if knows the best answer I'm going to get from you, that's a networking opportunity, a net worth opportunity, a new opportunity before I'm going to say next opportunity. So therefore, I literally rented that out for $600 a month the entire time I was in college.
Oh my God. To the same person the whole time?
To the same person. Yep.
That's amazing. So you netted like $5,000 off that investment annually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. So, and then I got to the point where I said, okay, then, don't keep it the same, go up $50.
Right.
Because I was starting to see what people were paying monthly in the areas, and then the meters went up. Okay, if the meters go up, I probably should go up too. And then for their birthday every year, I would gift them something. So once again, the value capital, the time capital, and then the human capital.
How proud was your friend's parents?
Excited. They were excited for me because I told them what I was doing, because they would check in with me, still invite me to dinner, and telling them what I was doing. And I was like, okay, now that's investing in commercial real estate. That's my first investment. So therefore I was like, I like 7-day-a-week capital opportunities. So it got to the point where when she wasn't there on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday was available. So I learned to make day capital, weekend capital. And I started to say, how can I maximize this opportunity that can provide value for someone else? Because for me, it wasn't about the capital that I was generating. It was about the purpose, the impact, and the value. The purpose was I was mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially impacting someone. The impact was I was offsetting their capital expenses on a monthly basis with paying quarters in a meter. And then the value was they were referring individuals to the space. Yeah. So therefore it became encompassing. And then now when you're building capital partners in a different way, that's also the bank manager of a bank.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So huge success, sophomore in college, making $5,000 on an investment, which was basically
because that was free and clear.
Yeah. Well, 600 times 12.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and your investment was 2,500. So what is that? 1,000% return? Yeah. Okay. So then what? So now you have the itch. And now you're double dipping because you've leased it on a monthly basis to the bank manager. Yeah. Did you then call her and go, hey, I'm going to sublease your space on the weekends when you don't use it?
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than her coming there on the weekend and wanting to be out with her family and have a parking space and want to go to the water. That would have been nothing worse than that. I said, absolutely. I said, just let me know. So we pretty much had a calendar in place. And I was letting her know what's what in reference to that. And I was saying, let me know if need be, I'll take something off. She said, no. She said, you're doing me a favor. And then you're young, you're in college. Let's go. Because at first she didn't believe me anyway. And then when she realized, she's like, wow, you really are. And then she would see the ones coming.
Oh my God. Okay. So then what? What was investment number 2?
Investment number 2 was I learned how to passively invest as well. Because when I started investing, I liked the parking spot that led to, okay, what does a car need more of? Car wash. So I started liking car washes. Car washes at the time, you can find them anywhere and or put them anywhere. Nowadays, you have to build them. There's very little land to choose from or whatnot. So the car wash, I added that component, the car wash. And then I saw how that increased substantially, not just for that location, but just all. And then keep in mind, since the family owned multiple commercial real estate properties, I asked them, could I add car washing to it?
So you owned a car washing business that you put on the parking space.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then you said to the family, I own a car washing business. Can I go put car washing people in all of your parking lots?
Absolutely. Treat it like valet. It's like all things parking related, valet, car wash, pick up, drop off, like what other things could be added that were also inexpensive, that were also not creating a huge expense for people. Because a lot of people value their cars sometimes more than they value their homes. They value their cars sometimes.
What was your degree in? What were you getting your degree in at this time?
I was taking psychology classes and Caribbean studies.
What did you want to do before when you went to school, and what was your goal? What career path did you want?
I was doing accounting at the time because from high school, I graduated from an accounting and a digital design academy. However, when I got to the university, I was told that the accounting major was full. So I had to go into another major and then arts and sciences was open. So that's when I started taking some Caribbean study classes mixed in with some things I have some interest in, and then psychology. I definitely had an interest in psychology. One of my professors even pushed it, and I said, well, wait, how long do you have to go to school for that? It was like 8 years. Like 8 years? I said, no, that's not going to work. And my mom always says, time's going to pass anyway, so you might as well do it doing the things that you love. So I was like, not 8 years, Mom.
Okay, so how many car wash locations were you running at the peak?
3.
Okay. 3. So then what happened? Did you graduate or you did something else? Absolutely. Then you graduated.
Then I graduate, but before the graduation, I actually invested because car washes started to dry up a little bit. So then I invested in a gas station because gas stations got to the point where that's the only place you could find a car wash. And then
so you found someone that owned a gas station and you said, can I buy your car wash that's on site?
First, I wanted to lease it to see how it would operate. Smart. Because they already had the traffic.
Right.
And I already had the value add when it came to certain other things as far as what do people need, want, and desire? What experiences and memories are they trying to create? People truly they care about how you make them feel in the value that you provide in it. Because once there's no price objection ever in certain things when there's a high level of value, especially with a car, a bag of chips, and different stuff like that. There were inexpensive things that still added value to what people actually cherished in assets that were in their lives. So therefore, I asked the owner, when I kind of saw what was taking place, I was like, geez, how do you even get into this space? And fortunately, that particular owner was nice enough. Him and his family owned probably like 10 different gas stations at the time. And I asked him, could I work his night shift? I said, I'll volunteer my time. I just want to learn it. And when I saw how lucrative the space could actually be if you own the fuel, I said, okay, I enjoy capital 7 days a week and not waiting 30 days to make it. You learn that from the car wash component. So when I saw the different lines of cash flow that flowed through a gas station outside of the gas component mixed in with the food component, mixed in with the COGS, cost of goods sold, and then mixed in with the drinks, mixed in with a tenant, mixed in with the food trucks outside. I'm like, U-Haul, that's another component. Lottery, that's another component. Lottery takes $25 to start. U-Haul's $25 to start. So if you got a 300, square foot location, you could run a full-fledged business to where U-Haul is bringing in everything for you if you're in a high traffic area. Same thing with lottery. Now it's a matter of what else is keeping them there. At that point, that's also inexpensive, under $30. gas max 50.
So how did you invest in the gas station?
I took all of the funds that I had because I wanted to go all in. And then I took a loan for $25,000 and I put the $25,000 in there. The loan, you ready for this? Came from my credit cards. Because I had at this point built up and I said, okay, every 6 or 12 months, I'm going to apply for a new card. Yeah. So when I apply for a new card,
you have to pay like 30% on cash advances, don't you?
no, because the cash flow that I was getting, I was able to pay it.
Okay.
And that's when I learned the value of having a capital partner. The university was my capital partner because they were paying me every month. So therefore, I didn't need money. I had meals on a regular basis. I had unlimited meals. Most people spend the most money on their living expenses. I did not have living expenses. And then after that, it's their car. And then after that, it's either a spouse or kids. I didn't have any of that. I was in college. So therefore, I did that type of math on the front end.
Right.
So when I did that math, it was like, okay, if I take the loan out, what I need to make sure I'm in this monthly, so the school takes care of that.
Yeah.
So that was the key of the numbers for me.
So the guy who owned the gas station let you rent or buy the car wash. You were a tenant running the car wash on the gas station site. Is that right?
It actually worked even better than that. He actually ended up hiring me. I told him I'd volunteer. So I got to learn all of it while I was there. And I wanted to work the night shift.
Right.
And the night shift is pure inventory. And when you're dealing with inventory, you see the infrastructure and the setup of everything. And that was a particular large franchise that he had. And he also had other small businesses that are called island marketers. So once I saw the difference between both, he liked the way I was operating certain things, and I'd give him feedback, him and his wife feedback. He's like, you know what? I have a store. Would you be interested in that store? Because I told him what I wanted to do. And I told him what I wanted to do. And ultimately, I wasn't afraid of what he would say in response. Right. Because ultimately, most people know that you want something. The question is what? So when you lead with it, depending on who it is or the ear that it's falling on, they're going to listen, to comprehend, to respond, and maybe guide you, or they're going to just brush it off. It just lets you know the faster they brush it off, that's probably not the connection you're looking for. Keep going, don't stop.
Right.
And ultimately,
so how long were you? So how long? So you got his store, this other store.
Yes.
And you bought the store, or you were just working for him, or you were renting the store?
It got to the point where they were paying me to operate everything. So that's why I say the value of a capital partner. So he became, him and his family became yet again my capital partner. So therefore, I was providing a service at that point. I just wanted to learn. So they were paying me to learn their business, their infrastructure, etc. So when I wanted to go out and buy one, he said, hey, when you get ready to get one, let me know. I could be your capital partner, because I always kept saying capital partner. That's what led to that component.
So how long did that happen, and how long did it take from you learning from them, getting paid to learn from them, to you leaving them, buying something, and then them financing it? If that happened.
12 months.
12 months. Awesome.
12 months.
So do you still have that facility?
Yes, I do.
Now, who runs that now?
I have a team in place that runs that. I like to train and cross-train teams. I like to hire a lot of college students that are looking to get into different asset classes, because those asset classes are not talked about. And ultimately, no one's going to talk about them, because most of the individuals that are in them, they're foreigners, especially in the fuel space. So therefore, it's a very unique niche market if you're talking about the fuel space. At the same time, it's one of those niche markets to where that anyone can get into. You just got to know how. The how is the hardest part with any asset class in reference to that.
So they financed you buying your own unit, and have you paid? Is that paid off now, or are you still paying? It's paid off. So you own it. No more loans.
No.
And then what did you do after that?
Then I went a little larger, and I started dwelling in hotels, because it goes back to where the cars need to park. If they need a wash, if you need gas, where are you going from there?
Right.
What can be attached to the next thing? Because I got to the point where I said, I want to invest in things that have the ability to generate cash flow 7 days a week.
So was it a motel, hotel? Did you
A
have
hotel.
partners?
Hotel, to where that it was three of us in the hotel, because I had gotten to that point to where I kind of knew how to actually move and operate. Once again, this bank manager comes in handy as well, because now you're having conversations about what it is you're trying to do and what it is you're offering. And then when they've seen you operating, they can assist you with how to actually move and how to operate as well. And the key to, I'll say, is even with the credit cards, I would do lines of credit on the credit cards. However, I always had a 12, 18 month. Most of my credit cards were 15 to 18. So I was able to do a balance transfer that was 0% interest. And I knew by that 12 to 15, 18 month, I either had to pay it all off or I had to transfer it to a new one. I don't recommend that to anyone that doesn't understand what I'm referencing. However, at the time, it made sense because of what I was doing. I was moving money. And the speed of money loves speed. And when you're moving slow with money, when opportunity presents itself, oftentimes you get stuck in situations. Yeah. So, and I was in a space to where that fear to me is frequent excuses and reasons to why something did or didn't happen. I'd rather not be in the same place tomorrow than take an opportunity today, knowing as long as I'm breathing, I have tomorrow to have a better day. That's why I always say it's always a great day to have a great day, because you don't know what the day is going to bring. However, you get to choose the atmosphere when you walk in the room. You get to determine how you show up to that room. And more importantly, you get to determine how you manifest things in your life and the people in that room based on your energy capital. So that those transfers, balance transfers, and, personal loan led to those opportunities, because I didn't want a bunch of partners. Because sometimes when you have too many partners, there can be limitations that are in there in the beginning. Not to mention, I was 19 starting. So I'm always the youngest person in the room. And who was going to believe that anyway? Until eventually I kept showing up to the room and I wasn't the youngest person in the room anymore.
Right. Okay. After the hotel. So let's forward to today. What does your portfolio look like today? You have it's a gas station, C-store, the hotel, anything else?
Yes. So car wash, gas stations, hotels. I just traded the last multifamily apartment back in 22. That was 120 unit. Only 5 partners in that. I'm not a huge fan of a bunch of investors in a deal. I'd rather joint venture on a deal if I'm going to do a deal. So we're getting in, getting out, a lot less thought processes and patterns going on in that as well. And also, I'm focusing a lot more too on the energy space. And I will say this, with the C-store for me is community store. I focus on the community. So I have gas, like Fuel the Future fundraisers. So therefore, we're focusing with the local nonprofits to help them with the car wash and fuel to actually build their wealth for their actual 501c3 nonprofits.
Wonderful.
And with our inside of our stores, we have tap, grab, and go set up to where that we have vending machines in there to where they can grab what they want, to where we're minimizing the need for having a ton of employees or overhead. And then on top of that, it allows us to really focus on what the customer's needs, wants, and desires are with a ton of surveys and feedback and opportunities. And we focus on a lot of food in there that's inexpensive to where that individuals can still have a great quality time, a ton of events. We have an hibachi chef come in a week to one of the locations that they can actually come set up, have an hibachi chef cook for them, and then have a full-fledged brunch as well. So we take an innovative approach of going out, talking to individuals in the community, not just homeowners, not just business owners, but also large Fortune 500 companies. Like Amazon is one of the ones we're going to be doing some business with pretty soon with all their trucks to get fueled. Another large petroleum company, all their trucks to get fuel at our location. And the biggest thing is being the cheapest fuel in town. Because when you see the price markups of fuel, your mouth will probably drop.
That's great. How did you get into the 150 unit apartment building? How did that fall into your lap? The bank, don't tell me, the bank manager.
No, not this one. It was a phone call. I got to the point where I would lend capital So my fourth quarter ends for me every year. So when you talk quarters, it's September 30th. My first quarter is October 1st. So I'm usually always 90 days ahead of most individuals that are filing in January. So October, November, December, I'm looking through my portfolio, see where my cash is flowing, see where it's not flowing, what teams need to be trained, cross-trained, what new teams might need to be activated or introduced to what it is we're trying to accomplish and to execute. So therefore, when I look through my portfolio during that, downtime, I got a phone call asking me about capital for a particular gap in an acquisition. And I said, well, if I'm going to be your debt partner, I'm fine, but I'm not interested in the equity component of it. So that's kind of how that led to it. So I had amassed enough capital, liquidity. I'm very big on liquidity, as opposed to asset wealthy, income poor. For me, I prefer to be liquidity wealthy and asset wealthy. Otherwise, if I choose, I'm going with liquidity, because sometimes someone's going to run out of capital. And I saw that very early on, watching others do certain things, because they had so many partners in deals. Somebody wants to leave the deal, and then now they're in a whole situation. Now I'm getting phone calls.
So the person that called you for the gap money, did you end up giving them the gap money and then you ended up owning the apartment because they didn't pay you?
So what ended up happening was, I think the way they were setting it up, they were trying to flip it. And you're seeing it now too. A lot of these individuals that go from fix and flipping, they're trying to do it with apartments as well. And ultimately, I don't think that's necessarily the way to go if you don't know what you're getting into, because you can find yourself in a huge landslide. But they had a gap within their CapEx component. And then when the gap within that CapEx, they needed assistance because they couldn't get the funding from the bridge loan they had took out, because now their occupancy was low, below 70%. So when I did my numbers, because I have certain metrics I abide by, I said, well, if I'm going to do that, pretty much I'm going to own majority of it at that point. So now you guys would be my tenants. And they agreed on it because of where they were in the actual situation. So all I did was pull the capital from my portfolio. In my gas stations do very well on a monthly basis by themselves, mixed in with the other hotels. It was 11 at the time. So it was like, I just pulled from there and then poured it into it. And then I literally came up with the idea to turn it into a college, the way college does dorm rooms. So I said, if you want your, occupancy to go up, this is what you do. Treat them like college students. Have one price, have everything included. So if and when you do go up on your prices, they can still afford it because you just took away that $300 cable bill. And when I heard one of the tenants say, oh, they had a $300 cable bill, I said, that'll be the last time I watched cable in life. If cable's $300, my goodness, what are they showing on TV? Because I don't even watch television. I travel so much. Yeah, but that's how that came about. And then ultimately they wanted to exit because they were utilizing funds from one of their other properties to pay for that one. So we agreed upon an exit strategy. And then ultimately I owned the property for about 2 years. And once again, I'm not a fan of waiting 30 days to generate cash flow or capital, especially relying on someone to hopefully have a job, because that's not my heart set or my mindset of adding to the unsheltered population. So that wasn't an asset class that was ever, one that I loved, just because of that, because the possibility of, them not being able to pay is always high, even though it was in a nice area, great median income. But the reality of it is things happen, life happens.
Yeah.
So ultimately I traded the property.
I used to say that. I used to say nothing with a bed in it. I don't want to be responsible for, retail, if they don't do good at business, but nothing with a bed in it. But so now I invest as an LP with other people, but they have to deal with those problems.
Agreed.
So fascinating. Before we start closing out, what's next for you? What are your goals for the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, currently right now, I've acquired a new gas station. So that should be up and running pretty soon in November 2025 and ready to go. And that one's going to be fully like AI powered. And AI does not stand for Albrey Intelligence. So it's going to be fully AI powered, tap, grab, and go, everything on the inside, same thing outside, minimal customer interaction with an employee. However, if their employee needs to interact, then they're going to be able to assist them as if the machine would be as well, but just focusing on pure community. Also building out my L.I.F.E Sports Academy, which is one of my nonprofits from my Like It or Love It Inc. I meet a lot of people that like what they do, but they don't love what they do. So we have academic components in there as well. So within that academy, we've amassed it to about 20,000 participants, and we look to open up in different locations. We add academics to it as well. And we open up as early as 6 a.m. for parents to drop their kids off, and we close as late as 6:30 p.m. so parents can still, kind of have a life outside of worrying about did their kids do their homework, extra.
What are the ages of the kids that attend that?
Ages 4 through high school.
And how many locations do you have?
6.
All in Miami?
No, they're all over. So I have Florida and in North Carolina, looking at right now, looking at Arizona. I'm going to be traveling to Arizona the end of this month, looking at locations there as well.
And they're all not-for-profits?
All non-for-profits. That's correct.
Amazing. Okay, great. Awesome. And what about real estate? You just want to keep amassing the gas station portfolio, or do you want to do other asset classes? More hotels?
I'm always open to other asset classes, ideally 7-day-a-week capital opportunities. I prefer triple net lease in the commercial space. That's another thing for me with not have no interest in apartments, just because I like the triple net lease component to where you own it. However, they own it too. And then you give them different types of priorities mixed in with responsibilities and their type of ownership as well. So ultimately, I'm open to different asset classes. I've been doing a lot more in the energy space. So I recently come out with a custom phone bank to where I go to a lot of events and I see people all the time like needing to charge their phone, but there's no phone chargers near. So I came out with the advertising component that had a phone charger bank on there to where you can advertise and you can provide phone chargers. And this will assist business owners at their actual live events to where individuals can have a sponsored phone bank that they can actually get their charge and still keep networking as opposed to not.
Are those the tall ones where they put their phones in them, or is
no? You get to take it with you.
Portable. So it's portable. Okay.
Portable. Mm-hmm.
And is it solar? Is it solar powered, or is it
you plug it in? Charge. I wanted to keep it simple, so it's a 110 volt, meaning your standard plug in with 3 prongs.
Awesome.
You can plug it in and it stays charged. You just bring it back. You can even rent it to them, or they can purchase it from you. But it allows advertising on the screen as well. So it's now the business owner can pretty much sponsor the event or have their own event while they're at a trade show, and that can be their CRM system in their own way.
So. Yeah. When you were 7 years old, did you sell lemonade on the corner and your parents knew you were going to be an entrepreneur like this?
Cupcakes.
You made cupcakes and sold them on
cupcakes.
The corner.
Funfetti cupcakes. Funfetti cupcakes. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yep, I used to sell them.
Albrey, what a story. How many years have you been out of college?
That's a good question. I've been investing since 2006. So next year will be 20 years. So 18 years.
You look like you were in college 2 years ago.
Maybe walking the hallway into college, but I wasn't actually taking classes.
Well, last question.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll let all of our viewers and us go have dinner. I would say that 75% of the viewers have not dipped their toe in yet. They have capital, not from their credit cards, and they want to, but they have some fear. I agree with you, your definition of fear. But what advice would you give someone that is standing on the sidelines and has the capital and the desire, but just hasn't done it yet?
Dive into who you are first, because there's so much to choose from and pick from. Know the core of who you are, because ultimately the core of who you are is going to show up the minute you get ready to transact on any type of investment. And I think we invest in certain things every day, whether it's ourselves, whether it's the people we love. We exude so much energy in investing, and oftentimes we in the day feeling as though no investment took place at all because nobody's listening. So now when it comes to your capital, shift the way you think about money and utilize it as the product and tool that it truly is. And how can money truly be utilized to maximize your opportunities? So what I would say is less is best, and oftentimes less is more. Less is more because the less you think about what might not go right, the more opportunities you have to look at things for what could go right. And when we shift our mindset into something positive all the time and realize that there's no issues or problems in life, there's just experiences and memories. What choices are you going to make that lead to certain types of experiences and memories you'd like to create? So ask yourself, what are your needs? What are your wants? What are your desires if you're going to invest mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually? And then what memories and experiences would you like to create for yourself, then the people you love? But I would ultimately say less is more, because I've been able to do more by thinking about certain things less and thinking about how they could not go right. So less is less is more, less is best. And I will also say less is value. Because the more we start to think about things, that's when the shiny object starts to approach. The more we start to think about it, that's when we start talking about that analysis and paralysis, to where we start to say, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. Dive deep into who the core of you are, unwavering. What are you passionate about? What do you love? What's your skill set? If you're going to invest, do you want to be active? Do you want to be passive? Do you want to invest and educate yourself? That's who I was. I wanted to invest and I wanted to educate myself, because I learned more by doing than by just letting my money go out and then do something, even though I was never attached to it. You know, most of us are attached to the emotional part of money and not the logical part of it, because it's still going to be here when we're not.
When was the last time you saw the bank manager?
We're actually having dinner on next Wednesday.
That's amazing. That's a great story. And the friend whose parents sold you the parking lot space, are you in touch with them still?
Absolutely. I still get invited to dinner. Guess what? They pay me for my ideas now.
Awesome.
I didn't even ask. And the
awesome.
pay, the best part is the pay is they donate to my organization. So
That's
I say
amazing.
wealthy for it. Instead
There
of
you
paying
go.
for it, we wealthy.
So how can people get in touch with you? What is the best way?
Only social media I have, thanks to a college professor, is LinkedIn, because it was for a grade. I'm on LinkedIn as Albrey G. That's Albrey G. And I actually answer that. There's no bot. That's really me. And I actually do respond. I like talking to real people, meeting real people in real places and real spaces, and doing real things.
Fabulous. Well, what a pleasure. You're so unique and you're so young and you're doing it. I mean, hotels, gas stations, battery powered cell phone chargers.
Hey, wait till you hear. I'm having the cash to card as well.
What's that?
Cash, yeah. If you want to go cashless, many of your locations. Okay. Yeah.
But you're not borrowing off your credit card anymore now. Okay.
I only lend off my credit cards.
Oh,
I lend capital from time to time.
oh my gosh. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And reach out to Albrey on LinkedIn, Albrey G, Albrey G. Thank you so much for being on.
It's always a great day to have a great day.
Great day to have a great day.